10, 12 years ago, I was talking to a businessman, leading businessman, and he said, whatever you do in your business, you restructure, you get the best talent, you open markets, you raise productivity, you cannot change the macros. The macros were the great burden of the Greek economy, falling upon businesses, domestic and discouraging foreign investors. Now they've become the great advantage of the Greek economy. So I would start looking forward. One thing, retain the gains in terms of the macros. The Greek economy has been growing at 2% levels since 2021, when the Eurozone average is close to flat. The crisis has moved in the Eurozone or the fragility or the vulnerability from the periphery to the core. Greece has demonstrated the fastest reduction of public debt to GDP in the developed world. We need to sustain this path. We need to sustain primary budget surpluses. They're not just sustained, but they have become sustainable. And they've become sustainable because the structure of the economy is also changing. It is not just tax evasion, which with the efforts of Governor Pitsilis and his team we've closed the VAT gap.
Do you think they are sustainable at these levels, which have been above the actual target, the primary surpluses? Do you think they are sustainable over a longer term?
Well, we are close to 4.5 primary surplus. That might be too high, but the primary budget, significant primary budget surpluses are sustainable, as they have been sustained over the last few years. And they are sustainable. I'll give you one indication. Exports. We used to be a closed economy. Exports are now from 20% level to over 40%. And that's very significant. The composition of exports is not, we're not exporting olives or fruit. There's an increasing share of high value added, of manufacturing, of technological component. Competition. I'm happy enough to represent Greece at the OECD, and at the report that came out in the, there's an indicator, composite indicator, product market regulation index, which lumps together hundreds of qualitative indicators regarding market regulation, regarding state involvement in the economy, competition in terms of regulating competition, and regulation in terms of entry of new players in the market. Greece topped the charts of the OECD in terms of the improvement that took place between 2018 and 2023. And we were invited to present our record of achievement in front of 38 member states, 37 member states with the OECD. Now, this is something that refers to the past, but it needs to be sustained. And there is more ground to be reached because we have been performing among the leading countries in the OECD when it comes to the delta of improvement. So if you look at the distance covered over the last few years, Greece has been the fastest running country in terms of bridging the gaps from OECD and EU partners. But we're still lagging behind in a number of indicators, which is, on one hand, the structural features of the economy, for example, very small enterprises, which are a burden in terms of productivity, in terms of tax collection, in terms of overall competitiveness of the economy, and of course the legacies of the crisis, which have not been completely eradicated, despite the huge distance that has been covered. So we need to keep up the pace. We need to establish the kind of continuity and consistency that has been hard gained over the last few years. And we need to make sure that we don't go back. And we need to make sure that the levels of growth of investment that we have seen over the last few years, largely accelerated thanks to the RRF, but also thanks to the private investment that has been crowded in as a result of the RRF. Greece has posted an 83% growth in investment volume between 2019 and 2025. This is the highest rate of growth of investment volume in the entire European Union. We need to keep up along this track. We need to keep up with the transformation of the investment in terms of quality, in terms of participation of technology, in terms of higher value added. And all this is a constant effort. It is something that involves huge across-the-board transformations and improvements in the institutional environment in terms of affecting private sector incentives and in terms of getting it right. getting it right in terms of budgetary balance, in terms of extroversion of the economy, in terms of green transition of the economy happening at the same time with the digital transition. It was mentioned before, just to give a number, and it's a number that I like particularly. In 2020, there was this revolutionary digitization of the Greek economy. The total transactions on gov.gr in 2020 were 90 million. 2025, it's 2.7 billion transactions. This means that there's a whole breadth of investors and citizens and companies, small and large, that are doing their business much more efficiently, much faster, in a way that's much more conducive to productivity and the competitiveness of the Greek economy. These are things that are constantly to be pursued. It is not a battle that has been won. It is a constant struggle, and we need to keep on this track. And the signs, let me just finish with that, the signs are very good. There was a recent report by the OECD just a few weeks ago, the Digital Government Outlook, and Greece is above the OECD average in 5 out of 6 indicators that build the benchmark of the OECD. So we are doing well. We have set the standards for the attractiveness of the Greek economy. We need to keep up the effort.